I feel like you understand the questions are necessary.
I do.
And
I can
ultimately,
still wish they weren't.
You can... Ultimately, you love Managed Comics.
Let's not put words in my mouth.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics. Keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Don't worry, Dal. It's okay. This device is supported by this iPhone.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I got worried because when I plugged the microphone in, I got an error message saying that it wasn't supported. Mm-hmm. But we did a little test record and it was fine.
Excellent.
It's all good. It's all happening. Immediately when I got in the car, I started yawning immensely on my way over to the studiotorium. So
sure. It's hard work running a comic shop.
It is definitely hard work running a comic shop on a day like today. Mm-hmm. And don't worry, we'll talk all about it.
Groovy.
This is episode number. Any guesses?
No.
Can you see the board?
I can. Is that accurate?
Yes.
568.
Good guess.
Thanks.
Number 568. It is the 568 episode in a row of Contest of Challengers. I mean, give or take. Like, there were a bunch of freak 24-hour comic book day ones we did, like, we called them like A, B, C, and D. Then we put them together in one big episode.
Okay.
And there were some lost episodes here and there. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I don't know. As far as, you know what? 568.
Sure.
It's perfect. I'm just, I'm stalling a little bit because there's a yawn coming and I just want to make sure I get it out. Oh man, double yawn. Holy cats. Holy cats. Dal, you've been to a comic shop in Bucktown called Challengers, right?
If you say so. I don't usually look at the names. I just call them all comic shops.
Sure. And I don't know that I don't know if your memories all blur together. But this one has high ceilings.
Okay, sure, yes.
Not quite 13 feet high.
Yeah, very high ceilings.
And lights come down from the ceiling, and so those lights are high up in the air.
Okay.
And there's heating ducts.
Yep.
And security cameras and stereo speakers.
Uh-huh.
And vents.
Okay.
And things that are not in reach of a normal human being on the ground.
Okay.
Nor are... It wasn't until you heard your jaw click that I knew you were yawning again.
Oh, yeah.
Nor... Well, we have a 6-foot ladder. We bought a 6-foot ladder when the store opened. Mm-hmm. And it's a sturdy, nice yellow and steel... Maybe aluminum. I don't know. Not steel. A metal plastic ladder that's great for getting up certain heights.
Sure.
And then, when my parents were moving back in 2013, we got an 8-foot ladder from my dad, which is all aluminum and very noisy, clangs a lot.
It does.
Makes a lot of noise, but it's higher and rickety, but it got us to those higher places. And even in Sidekicks, not terribly recently, but I don't know, maybe a year ago, less than a year ago, Gina was able to mount the Peter B. Parker Spider-Man that we had hanging in the ceiling of Blue. My brother George's old inflatable Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Now she mounted him on the wall, is like pretty high up on that wall.
Yeah. And
Gina is shorter than I am, but she was able to get up there. I'm not as good on ladders with my legs and the height.
Uh-huh.
But I always thought, like, there's other stuff we want to be able to do higher up. Just cleaning things, fixing things. So I've been looking around at ladders.
Uh-huh. And
I found a company that makes platform ladders.
Okay.
And what a platform ladder is it's a normal ladder, but as it narrows to the top step is a platform, but they build a lip around it. A ledge, if you will.
Uh-huh.
I don't know exactly what to call it. So the top of it is a flat... It's not a step. It's a flat platform.
Okay.
And it has a railing.
Uh-huh.
For safety.
Sure.
And I thought, that's spectacular. Like, that is... You can stand on it. You can turn 360 degrees. You have a lip.
Uh-huh.
You have a railing to be safe.
Yeah.
You can hook things in the railing. It comes with things you can hook into it.
Cool.
Like, that's excellent. So, and they came in a variety of sizes. Now, I knew that our metal ladder was 8 feet, and I knew that our ceilings are not quite 13. And based off of their measurements, like I'm like, I think we need a 10-foot ladder. Just we need something taller.
Yeah.
But no, the 8-foot ladder measurements says that it has a reach of 14 feet if you just get the normal 8-foot ladder. Okay, great. We have an 8-foot ladder. I know how tall that is.
Sure.
So I ordered one.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't go to the store and pick one up because they don't have them in stock. You can't just go and buy them. And also, I'd be worried about bringing that ladder home in my car.
Sure.
So I couldn't try it out.
Uh-huh.
So I made my measurements and I guessed on the size ladder we would need. And they said, okay, it's going to take a month. And they said, it's not taking a month. It's going to come on the 21st of January. Then they said, it's not coming on the 21st of January. It's coming on the 14th of January. So they said, hey, we can deliver it, like, what time? I'm like, how about after 11? They're like, great. 11 to 3 is your window. We'll drop that ladder off. But don't worry. We're going to call you a half an hour before delivery. Sounds perfect, right?
Sure.
So this morning I'm at Gina's, and I'm parked out front, giving her a ride to work. As I'm in the car, they call, hey, the ladder's on the way. It'll be there in a half hour.
Uh-huh.
Perfect timing.
Yeah,
Love it. Love it. Gina gets in the car. We drive half a block, get another phone call. And normally I don't answer phone calls from numbers I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But I was like, I should answer that one, the first one, in case it was Home Depot calling.
Sure.
So this one I'm like, I'm going to take a chance. Answer it. Yeah, we're here with a ladder, but your store's closed?
Oh, geez.
Wow. That's a quick half an hour.
Very quick.
Hold on, we'll be right there.
Right.
So get there. 2 guys unload this ladder. It is a beast.
Really?
It is a monster.
Yeah.
So they put it in the garage, and they go. I have to wait until I can actually come back out, unpack it.
Right.
Take all the cardboard off, to unwrap it. It's all wrapped in plastic.
Sure.
It is so tall when it is compressed that it almost touches the ceiling.
Of what? Like the ceiling in the store? The
Yeah.
ceiling in the garage? Okay.
But it's the same. It's,
Is it?
no, I mean, I didn't... yeah, it's the same height.
Oh, I assume the garage was significantly lower. Okay.
Well, anyway, in the store,
Uh-huh.
it almost touches the ceiling.
Okay.
It is considerably wider
Uh-huh.
at the bottom. It is also what I would describe as very heavy.
Okay.
So I couldn't just bring it in through the back and cut it in because it can't make that turn. So I had to go all the way around, come through the front.
Wow.
I had to put it down once to catch my breath.
Uh-huh.
When setting it up, you have to be very cautious of the lights.
Oh, sure.
So we set it up down by the new releases just to try it out. I can touch the ceiling
Wow.
from
Still,
2 steps before the platform.
that's great.
I should have gotten a 6-foot.
Well, let them learn.
Yeah. I can't send it back because I destroyed all the packaging.
Sure.
And also, I don't know if they take returns. It's fine,
Right.
but it's very heavy.
Yes.
It's difficult to manage.
Yes.
It gets you way up top.
Wow, that's very cool.
Like, I think I could stand on it. Like, I could touch the ceiling, but by reaching, I think I could stand on the top. I think you can't stand on the top because you're too tall.
Okay. That's
You'd
great.
probably have to be, like, hunching down.
Well, I'd rather not be on the top level then.
But, I mean, it's... the platform gives you more room to move than being on a step.
Sure.
So it's so unwieldy that we had to take everything out of the back room and reconfigure how everything goes.
Okay.
Only to put everything back. The only thing that moved is the T-folds.
Okay.
They are now just in front of the red wooden bookshelf where your backpack normally goes.
Okay, that's fine.
So I had to move the yellow... Like, we can't put the 2 ladders together.
Of course.
So the yellow ladder is under the coat rack where the T-folds were.
Okay.
But at first I put the T-folds by the vacuums and where the vacuums go. Sure. It was a lot of Tetrising to go, no, just how it was.
Yeah.
And it's on the hooks.
Okay.
It's on the hooks, and it doesn't need to be on the hooks, but it has to be because either it's on the hooks or we take the hooks down.
Sure.
I am worried that eventually it'll pull stuff off the hooks, and when it falls, it'll smash into the lights in the back. And
Well, that's how we'll know it fell.
yeah. If we turn it the other way, it takes up more room, but it feels like it might just fall like that far and be on the ground.
Okay.
But it fits better turned around. You'll see.
Okay.
You'll see. I know you're not super invested in this whole ladder thing,
No, but you are, and that's cool.
But I mean, it's also for the betterment of the store.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly excited about having something that reaches that high in the circumstances where we need to get to the ceiling.
For example, smoke detector
Changing
batteries.
the smoke detector batteries, which has always been incredibly nerve-wracking because I have to stand on the aluminum rickety ladder very high up, and I'm basically just stretching myself to the ceiling to try and like interact with it. So if I lose my balance at all, I'm just falling, 8 feet to the ground.
Yeah, this is a much wider base, a much sturdier ladder.
That's good.
So I took the aluminum one and put it in the back hallway next to the aluminum ladder from Black River.
Sure.
So they're like little buddies back there.
Cool.
We don't need it, but I don't want to get rid of it because it was my dad's.
Understood.
And we still have a yellow one back there because Gina's like, why don't we put the yellow one in the garage for now? I'm like, I don't want to put anything in the garage. It'll get stolen.
Right.
Somehow it'll get stolen.
Yep.
And also, like the yellow ladder, we'll still use that for lower things.
Mm-hmm.
Because, getting the yellow ladder out, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the rickety 8-foot one out, not that big of a deal.
Sure.
Getting this one out, an ordeal.
Yeah.
But worth it. So that was the excitement of the morning.
Oh, okay.
And I really wished I would have remembered to close the garage door after that.
Oh.
Because I forgot. Because I couldn't when I was carrying the ladder out.
Sure.
And then I just forgot.
Sure.
Nothing happened, but I just... Cold car.
Of course.
That's all.
Sure.
That's all it is. I literally had to put it down at one point. I'm like, this is... It's so long.
I'm sure.
It's so long. It's very pretty, though. Can you guess what color it is?
Is it blue?
No.
Is it red?
Closer than you were with blue.
Is it silver?
It's orange.
Okay.
Orange and silver.
Good
so
color.
You were right. You were right about that. And that was just a little, not to repeat your word, color for the listener.
Nice.
To help describe it more.
Sure. Paint a
There.
picture with those words.
Yeah, but man, if you're interested, listener, go to Home Depot and look up platform ladder.
It's
Pretty great.
If you're excited to learn more about ladders.
Also, if you're a fan of 70s era Kiss music, there's a band out called Classic 78. That's KLASSIK 78. That sounds like mid 70s Kiss, but it isn't. But it is. But it isn't. It sounds like a Kiss cover band doing all original music, but from that time period with that production, those mixes. It's pretty incredible. Everybody that I've played it for has really enjoyed it, and that's including non-Kiss fans.
It's true. It basically just sounds like a Lost Kiss album from the 1970s.
Yeah. There's 3 EPs.
It's crazy.
They're called Side 1, Side 2, and Phantoms. And Phantoms is a pretty good riff on the Destroyer cover.
Okay. That's great.
Since we were talking about looking things up.
Sure.
You can't stream them anywhere except their website. And you can't just add them to your Apple Music. I just had to outright buy them.
Okay.
You can buy them on Apple Music. You can't stream them on Apple Music.
I see.
Which is the first time I've encountered that.
That is rare.
Someone comes up to the counter today with the MODOK action figure, and I'm like, this is great.
Sure.
Ring it up. It's like, I don't know, $64.99.
Right.
Something like that. Whatever.
Yep.
And they say, I only have $50.
Then you can't get a MODOK action figure.
Fine. Don't worry. I'll put this back. Oh, first, they tried to come in without a mask on. I'm like, you got to wear a mask. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So they went out and got a mask, came back. Everyone who doesn't have a mask has a mask. They just don't have it on them.
Yeah, that is surprising.
Yeah. Anyway, so they do shopping some more, come back up with the, I don't know the exact name of the figure, but it's the Knight, with a K, Thor figure. It's like the, not SH Figure Arts, but the little...
Oh, Square Enix makes them. It's their, God, what is the name of that line? Play Arts.
It's the Thor, but he's like a Arthurian knight, whatever.
Yep.
And they go to get this, and I look at them. I'm like, this is $150.
Yeah, this is even more than the figure that you couldn't afford.
And they said, oh, and I said, don't worry, I'll put this one back myself. I don't trust you to do it as well.
Wow.
So that's behind the counter. Then they come up with 2 Marvel Legends. The total of that is like 53 and change.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yep.
Something in
more
that
than
ballpark.
$50.
More than $50. So they go, oh, I have to go get some more money. So they go get some more money. And they come back, and they're still like 27 cents short. At that point, I'm like, I'll take it.
It's on the store.
I will take that 27 cents. Just please,
27 cents
please end this transaction.
to end this interaction.
But here is the weirdest encounter
Okay.
of the day. There's a guy who was in, and his hand was all like wrapped up weird, like in a scarf or something, like it was protected. And he had like a stylish hoodie. And he, at first, I was in the back. Then I came back in, and he was already in the store. And he was in the horror section, and he was telling Gina that he is a big fan of Buffy.
Okay.
So she's like, oh, well, here's where we have all the Buffy stuff.
Sure, all of it.
So he comes back up to me, very disappointed, because it's not his Buffy. See, he was in jail.
Uh-huh.
And he was in jail because he tried to rob someone with a crossbow. But the reason he used a crossbow is because of Faith from Buffy, because Faith had a crossbow, and he thought, that is pretty badass, so he bought himself a crossbow.
And robbed people.
So he loved all 7 seasons of Buffy, and that kept him going the whole time he was in prison. And he thought about Buffy all the time, and how great it was, and especially how great Faith is. But this comic, that's not his Buffy. Why does she have pink strands in her hair? That's not right. And I thought, man, of all the changes that this current iteration of Buffy has made, it's the pink strands in her hair you're calling out.
Clearly drawing the line.
So I'm like, and I go through the whole thing about, hey, there was a comic book series before that did in continuity follow-ups, all the different seasons up to season 12. Was it 12?
I think so. Something like that.
But this is a new company, so it's a new imagination of like, what if Buffy started today? Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, but her hair's wrong. I'm like, dude, they use cell phones in this one, okay? Like, they didn't really have those in the TV series.
There's a lot more changes than the hair color.
Yeah. It's all different. And he couldn't get past it. And why are they doing that? And it's going to make people real angry. I'm like, they're trying to reach a whole new audience. It's just this
no one's angry about it.
This whole explanation. And he's like, all right. Oh, and he understands. And he eventually goes. And Gina's like, he never mentioned anything about prison or crossbows to me.
Yeah.
Just that he loved Faith.
Why did he mention it at all? Like, that's not a great,
icebreaker.
It's not a great anecdote.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, I used to rob people with a crossbow because I liked crossbows from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I don't know if he robbed successfully or he tried to. Is that still robbing?
At a certain level of success, it was unsuccessful because he went to jail for it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, there's a streak there that ended at some point.
Whether it started or not, it was ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. It must have. No, I mean, he was in there for 3 years, so I guess he didn't actually bolt anybody.
I have no idea.
Would that be a proper use of the word?
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's certainly a follow-up question I would be afraid to ask.
Sure. Well, that's why I wanted to answer all of his questions thoroughly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fun day. So, earlier this week, as we talked about before, we get deliveries every single day of the week. Sometimes even weekends. In fact, you've gotten Marvel books delivered on Sundays before.
It's true, yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
So traditionally, we get our Marvel trade paperbacks for the next week on Friday, and then the single issue comics on Monday.
Correct.
For the following Wednesday sales.
Right.
At this point, if they were to get us them any later, that is extremely detrimental to the way in which we log in, pull club, and put out the books.
Sure.
So, this Monday, what happened?
The book showed up at 5:08, something like that.
After the store was even closed.
Yep. I mean, it took long enough for the UPS guy to unload the massive UPS order that was both the new Marvel books and some gigantic restocks. That we were there late just for him to unload. Like, we didn't even unpack anything because by that point, it was well after we were closed. So everything got unpacked on Tuesday, which made for a very long Tuesday.
Of course, because not only was it just the PRH books, what else was it?
Well, it was the PRH Marvel books, and then it was Diamond reorders and Simon & Schuster reorders? Somebody else, some other distributor.
On Tuesday mornings, I go out to Elk Grove Village to get the Diamond order. And when I left to go get it, Molly Jane was doing Marvel, you were doing Diamond. when I got back, you guys were still at it.
Yeah, it took a while.
I had to wait for you to finish because there's not room for three orders to be checked in simultaneously.
No.
I had to wait for you to be done in Sidekick so I could set up my little area.
Yep. Well, I had to stop midway through because there were other things that would, take priority over doing the reorder. And Molly Jane was having some problems with some of the Marvel stuff that had been received, so I needed to kind of drop what I was doing to correct that while she was still pulling books. So it was stuff where, like, receiving the Marvel stuff is a 1.5 person job. And then receiving all of the reorders is a 1 person job. So it's just like we did not have enough people to do everything simultaneously.
Today, and like I said, shipments come every single day.
They do.
We'll probably drone on that for a while. Mm-hmm. Not this episode, but every episode.
It's just the new normal. I mean, it's not going to stop. So
today, UPS shows up right around 4 o'clock. Actually, do you remember what time you called me back?
Oh gosh, a little after 4:05.
So that's right when it was happening.
Yeah.
So there was 2 groups of people in line, so it looked like the line was massive, and UPS showed up. So I had a question for Dal. I had to call him on, but he didn't answer. So when he called back, I just said UPS is here. He's like, okay, and hangs up.
Yep.
Because we know what's up. But anyway, so it's next week's Marvel order.
Okay.
Because they sent them out early because of Martin Luther King Day.
Right.
We'd already gotten Lunar in.
Okay.
And it was a Hachette order and a separate PRH reorder.
Okay.
The fun part of it was getting to show some subscribers how wasteful everything is.
Sure.
Because there was a PRH, a PRH box like a 1.5 feet long and maybe not 2 feet wide, but a standard, like bigger than a diamond middle box.
Sure.
Inside of it, bubble wrapped to hell, was a T-fold.
Uh-huh.
Or their version of it.
Okay.
It's not a T, but whatever, you know what I mean?
I do.
And inside of that, 2 comics.
Great.
And then, in a bigger PRH box, full of a ton of bubble wrapping, 3 copies of 1 book.
Fantastic.
Graphic novel, not a comic book. And then in another box, it was the same as the first, but instead of just 2 comics, it was a stack of maybe like that, of like alternate covers for next week's books.
Okay.
So not in the normal boxes.
Did you say we got a Hachette order in?
I did.
Was it a stocky order?
Yeah.
Did it get checked in?
Yeah.
Do you remember what stock number it was?
It was only 2 books.
It was only $2. Okay.
Yeah. It was 1 book, 2 copies, toilet bound, blah, blah, blah. It was so old that it didn't have a stocky after it.
Okay. Yeah. Volume 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you find it there?
I did, yeah. There was a thing that I noticed where we had a PRH order through Stocky that was a lot of it arrived on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay.
But there was a lot of stuff that wasn't received yet, and it's all stuff where I'm like, this can't all be out of stock, and a ton of it was like kids' books, which always show up before the rest of the order because they ship from a nearer warehouse. And then I remembered, Molly Jane received a bunch of stuff the Thursday that we were watching Wrestling Kingdom. I didn't know what the order was, but it's like, it's got to be this stuff. And it's a weird thing where it's not listed as received. Something like, did she not hit did she receive it, like flag it, and then not hit the
receive and
sync button?
Yeah.
But then I'm looking at the quantities, I'm like, all these quantities are too high for them not to have been received. So basically I have to, on Sunday, next time I'm in, I have to look at the order that we haven't received yet, double check what's on the shelf, and then, like, if what's on the shelf matches what's in the system, then I got to delete those other orders because somehow they got received without being listed as received.
Weird.
Or if the quantities are incorrect, then I have to receive them to get the quantities to be where they should be. But I don't know until I'm actually physically in the store looking at it.
This was different for me today. Checking in through Stocky, when I go to check in, they now separate the invoices or the pick tickets or whatever by publisher.
Sure.
They
don't do that. That's always been the case, except I've been spending weeks now tagging everything correctly by publisher.
Oh. Because the last time I've done it,
it was just listed as Diamond and everything was alphabetical.
Yeah.
That's because nothing was flagged correctly because I had to wait until after the migration process that Brian was doing to start flagging everything correctly because RMH and Octopus would have just overwritten it.
Well, I admit it took me. It took me back. Took me back. I was what's the phrasing?
You were taken aback?
I was taken aback. Thank you.
Sure.
And I first thought, did I do something wrong? And then it also doesn't pre-flag everything anymore.
I turned that off.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
That was the thing where I'm like, that's just going to be a pain in the ass.
So that also made me think I did something wrong because nothing was flagged. I'm like, what did I do?
So I think one of the things
what is different here
with Stocky is there's a settings thing.
Yeah.
And one of the first things is vendor name subheadings. So I think if I turn that off...
Oh, no, it's fine. I just didn't know it was happening.
But then...
I don't have an issue with the vendor names. I never experienced it. And I thought, oh, look at some improvements that have been made to this app since the last time I've been here.
No, that's just improvements from Dell working day and night on it. Yeah, one of the easiest ways now to...
He says so subtly.
No, it's consuming my life. We'll talk about that in a minute. One of the ways...
I love that we're sitting here talking at 6:40 on a Friday night, and I get an email that a Penguin order just went through.
Oh, I wonder what that would have been.
Yeah.
I didn't place anything today.
How random.
Yeah, maybe something just shipped out. I did a bunch of reorders last night, which, again, we'll talk about in a second.
Oh, I noticed.
So the easiest way to sort of unpack an order now that's going to be received through Stocky is to pile everything up by publisher. Because then you'll just take that publisher pile and then flag stuff, and then go to the next publisher and flag stuff.
So that's good to know now.
Sure. It depends on the publisher, or the distributor, rather, how necessary it is. Because, when you get a gigantic Penguin Random House order, it could have 5 or 6 different publishers that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And you'll have to be scrolling all over the page for it. But I'm just looking at this Hachette order, and it's literally just Abrams and Yen Press. Like, that's it. So it almost doesn't matter. Because it's just not that many books.
Sure.
Anyway.
So, the Marvel books.
Yes.
No time to unpack those.
Of course.
Those are just sitting in boxes.
Sure.
Do you want me to do it tomorrow?
If you've got time.
Or just wait?
I mean, if you've got time, anything will help. There's always other stuff that we can work on Sundays and Mondays. So if we don't have to do the Marvel stuff, that would be cool. But if you don't have time,
the next question is, check them all in or just alphabetize them?
Both? I mean, what do you mean? Why wouldn't you check them in?
Well, because the invoices are such garbage.
They really are.
And I thought you had a different way of receiving than going off of those.
I mean, I'll tell you what we haven't had the chance to do it in a while because the books come in at weird times. Either, days I'm not there, and Molly Jane is really good about actually decoding the invoice.
Yeah. I'm
sure she hates doing it, but she can actually do it.
So is Gina, who is not working tomorrow.
But what I would usually do is just go to the pre-received report, the pre-delivery report that they have.
Yeah.
It's just a CSV file. I just download that and then alphabetize it, and it's got all the quantities and the titles and the variants and stuff on there, and just you take...
Because you did tell me that before, but and just telling me something doesn't stick until I'm doing it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
So, because I knew there was a way where you said, I don't... Because you told me I don't use that invoice.
The invoice is garbage.
Yeah, okay.
So
even so, we can still...
You just take 5 minutes and
pack it
and
organize them in... It's like 9 boxes.
It's a big week.
Yeah. So, I mean...
We would do a big week for Marvel, I guess.
All right, so...
Again, if you have time, great. If you don't worry about it.
I'm sure we will. I just figured knowing that you already have them before Sunday means you have plenty of time to get to them.
Yeah, that's why, again, if you don't have time for it, it's fine.
Literally, like after because we'd gotten I forget, one order was someone else. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But there was a Hachette thing where there was just an envelope. And that got like tucked to the side, and as I'm closing out, like leaving, I'm like, oh, there's that.
Yep.
Let me do that.
Yeah, after receiving the gigantic PRH order that came in on Wednesday night, like then we got like USPS came by, and it's like, oh god damn it, like it's one more
little thing,
2-book envelope or something like.
Well, that's okay. I got angry at. We got 3 copies of Berserkin, so I had to receive those through Shopify because it's not in the system.
Yes.
So I had to find it that way. But there's someone in the special order book.
Yes.
Just with an email address.
Yes, because that was around the time we were switching over. And what I want to do is just invoice them.
Okay.
Like, now that we have in the system, just create an order for them in Shopify and send that out.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Okay.
I emailed them. And I was so angry that I had to stop because it was...
No, that's why I took the email, because we don't need to do that anymore. Like, those things exist in our system. It's very easy to just say, like, hey, your book came in, pay for it right now.
But you still have to type in their email address and do all that stuff.
You do. I mean, there's an element of work to it, but there's also a much more efficient way of getting paid for the book.
Sure. And it was an email address with a lot of numbers. I'm like, God damn it.
Sure.
So there was that. The reason I was calling you back was, and this is where you need your device.
Okay.
Was I didn't successfully get rid of the draft orders for Charles Gorey.
Okay.
And also, Charles Gorey has 3 separate accounts, and each of those accounts had a book or books tied to his polls this week.
Mm-hmm. I'd have to look at the other. Let me take a look. So, I think the extra books were stuff that we received, like we added to his account after the new books had come in for the week.
Okay.
And it should just add those to his account.
Because he's got one account with a Yahoo email address, which is what he would prefer for his main account.
Okay.
And that's what the majority of his books were in.
Okay.
Then there's one with a non-Yahoo email that had one book.
Oh.
And then there's one with no email address that had another book.
I mean, I'd have to investigate that.
Like if you
weird.
go into if you go to the register part right now, or into the draft order, whatever the draft order
I'm going to look
program
at,
is called. He's got 3 separate draft orders.
I'll look at the customers.
Okay. And so this is the point where I'll navigate a little bit to not navigate so much as...
Okay, so basically I'm just going to remove these. Well, first I'm going to take out the draft orders, but he does have 2 different accounts. I'm just going to remove these 2.
Sure.
So why does it say Alabama?
Interesting. I'm not sure it's anything we did.
Chicago, Alabama.
Weird. I've heard it called Chirac before, but never Alabama.
Here we go. Edit addresses.
Alabama.
Default address. Chicago. State. Let's change that to Illinois. To do that while I'm here.
Is that for the proper one?
Yeah, just for his actual account.
Okay. That's the Yahoo address one?
It is. Is it? Yes.
And then...
Where is his email address on this? Oh, here we go. Yeah, Yahoo. Okay. So, I'm just going to go to orders. We're going to go to... so, when I look at draft orders... Yeah, he's got 3 here. So, I'm just going to go ahead and delete those.
Show me how you do that again?
I will in a second.
Okay. But wait, you're in manager, not
I'm
register.
In manager. I mean, this is iPad, so you would do it differently. Just right-click on it or something.
Well, I mean, it would be an iPad. What I'd be using as well.
Then yeah, sure.
Okay, and one more time? Okay. Because you did say you can delete it when it's read, but I thought that was when you have the... I knew, pulled in the draft order, I knew that like there's nothing there to do it. So once I pulled it to the screen, there's a red button up, like the clear cart button. So I'm like, I don't think that's it.
I don't. The problem. So let me get rid of his other accounts first.
Sure. Because what had happened is Managed Comics was down at different points during the day. So when I was trying to ring people up, it wouldn't get to the subscriber part. Like you couldn't even get to the list.
Couldn't be deleted
of subscribers. Wonder. And does he have active purchases on all those accounts?
This customer hasn't placed any orders.
Okay.
And this is
interesting.
He has no email or anything else, so I don't know.
Okay, so that one should definitely be gone, but it won't let you do it.
Well, we'll see if it lets me. Yeah, let me do that one. But this one, he had
is this the Gmail one?
No, I have to go back. He ordered an Immortal Hulk threshing place.
Okay.
October of 2020. This is his Gmail account.
Okay, yeah. So delete that one if you can.
I've tried before.
Delete.
Customer couldn't
be deleted. Weird.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that.
So when subscribers would come up to the counter to buy their books, we couldn't populate the purchase, the transaction with their books because we couldn't get into Managed Comics to get to them. And that happened multiple points during the day. So it's easier, honestly, for us to ring them up cold.
Yeah.
You can still pull in their name and put the books on their account, but we couldn't get to their subscriptions or their orders.
Right.
We couldn't import those. So that there were 3 separate times with 3 separate club members that we couldn't do it. So so I one of them, it was... All right, so you can pull up the draft orders.
I already did what we're looking for.
Okay. I can't see.
Sure. What are we looking for?
Well, I just don't want to tell you. I want to see what's happening at the same time.
I just refreshed the draft order screen before, and this is
okay. So we need Sam Berggren.
Okay, he's not there. These are the open draft orders. That's it.
That's it?
The only thing that was there was the Charles Gorey ones, and I deleted them.
Why does Danny Ward have an open?
Because she never paid shipping on a shipping thing.
Oh. Can we just kill that?
I mean, sure.
So it doesn't keep coming up. Fine. So Gina and Sam Berggren had to just get rung up normal, so all of their books are still on their account.
Sure. So all you're doing for that is going to customer orders as normal.
Okay.
It should work this way. Okay. So we're going to flag him.
Uh-huh.
And then we're going to choose cancel selected orders and see what that does.
Okay. Yes. And so the next time... So now if you... let it cycle through. Sorry.
Yeah.
Your hand was right there, so I didn't see that it was doing that. That's the point where you usually jump away to.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, this is the first time we've tried to do it that way because we've never had to delete someone's entire order before.
Sure.
Like, we've always just had to go in and just do, like, one or two items. So, let's see if Sam Berggren has anything.
So, if he doesn't come up.
He doesn't come up.
Okay. Great. Undo typing. All right, then you want to do Gina?
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was Steve Davich, but I don't think so. I think his was okay. You'll know by okay. That's easy.
Yeah, in theory, what we'd want to do is take their whatever they'd ordered, and then add it to the inventory in the store, so it re-accounts for what they ended up buying. But I can just do that later because I'll just go through the orders and find it.
But so it doesn't do that. It doesn't.
If you delete something from a subscription, currently it doesn't do anything with those books
Those
because
books just
subscription
disappear.
items exist as a subheading of the regular book. They're two separate line items in inventory, in products, in everything.
So is it even worth doing since our inventory is so screwed up?
I mean, yes and no. Like, yes, because at least it's that percentage less screwed up than it would have been otherwise. But no, because I wouldn't do it for like 100 accounts, but if it's two people and we know what they got,
Sure.
it's
3
minutes for me to do that.
Do you want to just see if Steve Davich has any orders to pull up? I can't remember. I don't think he was one of the people to pull up. I mean, I think his worked at that point. That was right toward the end of the day. And this is the point where... Okay, good. This is the point where we still don't know how to add any books to...
There's a way to do it. It just sort of sucks.
Okay.
The way to do it is basically you add it as a pre-order to someone's account.
Okay.
And then you go through and receive that book through Manage Comics.
Okay.
When you do that, Manage Comics will notify you that you have a subscription outstanding for that book. And then once you receive it, it'll pull it for that customer.
But how do, like...
Then you'd have to go to Shopify and alter your inventory down by whatever you just added to someone's account.
Oh, that's so much extra work.
It's a gigantic pain in the ass, but it will actually add it to their account.
But also, how do you receive it to Manage Comics? Because
just the same check-in process that you do for anything that's not on an invoice.
Okay. So basically, we're just not. Okay.
Yeah, you're going through and adding a pre-order, and then you're increasing your inventory by 1 because you're receiving it through Manage Comics.
So we say check-in, but it's really just increasing inventory.
Yeah, but specifically, I use the term check-in because that's what they call it.
Right.
You go to the check-in screen and you check the item in. So yeah, that's the only way currently to do it through Manage Comics, which again, a gigantic pain in the ass, but will actually do the job.
Wow.
That's why I did not finish logging in all of the reorders on Tuesday before you got back because I had to stop to do that a couple times.
The next question I have, and I'm sure the answer is still no, what about a subscriber that only gets half their stuff?
Oh yeah, no, that's a gigantic pain in the ass too. You're basically just deleting stuff from their list, and then when you do that, it doesn't go back in their list. It just is gone. So that
it doesn't go back in inventory either.
It doesn't go back in inventory. It doesn't go back in their box. It basically just disappears. So when you go to ring them out again, it is like it's not in their box at all, and you're ringing it out, and you're screwing up your inventory. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the inability to put stuff back in the box is a gigantic sort of fatal flaw with Managed Comics. Basically, like, the biggest problem with Managed Comics right now, from an inventory perspective, is and this is almost not worth discussing because it's part of a process that is being completely overhauled and redesigned.
Which is great.
In the next few months, because it needs to be. But basically, the problem is when you receive 50 copies of a book and you have 20 subscriptions for it, Managed Comics creates two separate items. A 30-copy shelf item and a 20-copy subscription item. They have a lot of the same data attached to them, but they also have different SKUs, which means as far as Shopify is concerned, they are two completely different items. There is no difference in Shopify between, like, sub-copies and rack copies for a book as there are between, like, Batman 118 and Amazing Spider-Man 85. Two different items. Doesn't matter whatever similarities they might have. So the problem is that when, and I think we talked about this before, when Comic Suite would put something back, RMH had one item for something, and it would have committed quantities, and it would have available copies. Committed copies meant it was on hold for someone. So when you would remove something from someone's box and, like, put it back on the shelf, it would just take the committed copy and then move it to the available copy. Done. Easy to do. Managed Comics doesn't do that because Shopify does not understand, and I guess Managed Comics doesn't understand, that when you are taking a copy of a subscription book away, it should then go to the non-subscription version of the book.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do that. Like, the times that we've had to do that when someone's like, I don't need this, it's like, okay, I physically have to go into Shopify and raise the quantity for the shelf copies to account for the one that is no longer in someone's box.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's bad. And it's the sort of thing where incrementally, like, our inventory gets more and more inaccurate as the weeks go on. Between the stuff that is in people's hold boxes that we're selling that was not accounted for in our Shopify inventory and isn't in their Shopify or their Managed Comics accounts. But then the little things where someone's like, oh, I switched covers, or oh, I don't want to get this one this week, or oh, can you put this one aside for me? It's like all of that stuff is just like death by degrees.
Sure.
I would love for Managed Comics to have a better solution for that in the future.
Well, maybe there's someone we can talk to.
At this point, I would rather he just focus on the FOCs and initial orders.
Yeah, because that's the thing I would need to be starting in a week or so.
Yeah. Marvel, for whatever it's worth, is due January 21st, but that doesn't really mean anything because it's all FOCs.
Yeah, and I knew it was due the next Saturday. Yeah. That's fine. I have one more Managed Comics question.
Cool.
Why don't the backer boards scan?
Probably because they are a different barcode than we've had in the system before. So you'd have to create like an item alias for it, sort of in the same way that we did for... It's not a Managed Comics question, it's a Shopify question.
Oh, sorry. But I thought it wasn't... I thought we couldn't do aliases.
You can. It's so... yeah, you're not going to like it. It's a whole stupid process. So, like, I think we talked about this before. The Pokemon cards that we have...
Yeah.
Some we have in, like, foil packs, and some come in cardboard sleeves.
Yeah.
Each of those has a completely different barcode. It's not the same barcode for both.
Okay.
So what we had to do...
But it's the same cards.
Yeah, it's the same cards.
It's just different packaging.
Different packaging. But what we had to do... Why is this not coming up?
Maybe it's down again.
Shit, maybe it is.
No, this is just a Shopify thing, right?
Yeah, this is Shopify.
Yeah, Shopify went down last week.
It went down Tuesday night.
Yep.
Here we go, Pokemon.
And people say, oh, that just happens. That's not great.
What was it? Okay, it's the Evolving Skies boosters. So to get both barcodes to work, what we had to do is create a variant. Two variants, basically, because you're not...
Yeah, you know we hate variants.
I know. The variants basically take over for your normal inventory for an item. So we had to create two variants, one foil pack, one cardboard sleeve. And each of those has its own barcode.
Sure.
And then they also have their own quantity attached to them. So that's what you would basically have to do for the boards is create one that says, like, Matt's Baseball, one that says Ultra Pro or whatever, and then it has the corresponding price and barcode.
Yeah, here's the weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the same old Southern Hobby boards we've used this whole time.
Did you check and see what the barcode is in the system?
Well, I just mean, like, barcodes have never rung up since we switched over. Well, they're super easy to find. You just type current and they're right there and you tap that.
Right. So, I mean, it could just be that whatever barcode was, like, If we had 7 alias barcodes in RMH,
which is more than possible, yes.
one of them transferred over
Okay.
to Shopify.
Okay.
6 of them didn't.
So we can just go into the item and change the barcode.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on how many barcodes you have. Like, if it's just one barcode on everything, yeah, just do that. You're fine.
Yeah.
If it's, if you need more than one barcode, then you're going to have to make variants for how many different barcodes are under one item.
So you have 2 separate...
This is just a SKU. SKUs are relevant. SKU could literally just say current boards is one word. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
This will never scan. This is the only thing that when you scan it, it'll come up.
Okay. But is it possible to change that from there?
Yeah. I mean, I could change it right now. I could
all right.
type
Yeah.
in
Okay.
7 more digits. But the problem is, if there is more than one barcode for this item, you have to do it as variants.
Yeah. And I have no idea how to do that, but
I can show you how to do it on Tuesday.
this is not the time or place to do that. Yeah, okay. Just, learning as you go.
Sure.
When I got those reorders today, I went over to the left computer, and just the concept of checking it all in, I just lost it, just blanked it. I'm like, what is the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I go? What do I do?
Sure.
Like, but I'm like, oh, apps, no hit apps. Okay, I got it. It's fine. It's fine. I guess I don't use it as much as you and Molly Jane do.
Mm-hmm. I use it a lot of the day.
24 hours a day.
A lot of the day.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I said to a few people this week that some of the problem is that because Managed Comics and Shopify are cloud-based, my access to them is basically 24/7 as long as they're both up. When we were using RMH and Comic Suite, I would have to, use a VPN to remote into the system. And because of that, I could only do it during off hours. I couldn't do it when the store was open because someone's using that register. With Managed Comics, I can do it in the middle of the day on a Thursday when I'm not working. I can just, from home, I can just be like, oh, I'm going to go in and tweak these things or make these changes or create these orders or deal with these customer requests or whatever. Which is great because it means I don't have to just cram everything into the wee hours of the night or the early hours of the morning. The downside is I end up working on it constantly. Like literally anytime the last few days that I've not been like otherwise occupied doing something, it's like, oh, I should probably just go to Shopify and see if we need to place a Hachette order or change some publisher listings to make Stocky a little bit more efficient or whatever. Like, so it's a million things that I need to do eventually for Shopify, but because I can work on it all the time, I just end up working on it all the time.
So you're just chipping away at all those tasks.
I am, but it's not stuff that, it's not a high priority thing. It's not the sort of thing that I need to be working on every hour of the day, but because I have access to it, I just end up working on it.
But that's ultimately detrimental, and you should
To my
not.
mental health, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's exhausting.
I've been hearing from a lot of people this week that they are at mental health lows.
Yeah, there's a few articles I've read recently, just not about people just talking about things, and it's amazing how much the kind of like omnipresent defeat that just comes across for people. Just like some of it's just like COVID fatigue and people who are in their third strain of this virus, and it's just like oh my god, like we all thought this would be over by now.
Sure.
A year ago, it was like, we're turning a corner, vaccines are going to start rolling out by summertime, and then it's like, a year later, it's like, Jesus Christ, it's exactly the same. But worse, because when we were on lockdowns and stuff before, there was, support from the federal government and things like that. And now there's not. So it's just, oh, people aren't coming to your store because they don't want to get Omicron? Figure it out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I feel like we both know a record number of people with COVID right now.
Yeah. When epidemiologists are just like, everyone's going to get it. Great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I was talking to someone today who has people, it's actually 2 different people who had said that they know people that are like, I just want to get it and get it over with. And it's like, you shouldn't want it. You don't know what's happening.
You shouldn't, but again, I mean, it's people who have done all the right things and weathered this for so long are just finally like, let me just get my COVID and get it out of the way,
I was out with a non-comic store friend last night.
Sure.
Whose mom called a few times during the night, and he eventually said, hey, I got to go call her back outside because she doesn't normally call this many times in a row unless it's important.
Right.
And when he comes back in and we're like, hey, man, is everything all right? His uncle is dying in the hospital of COVID.
Oh, my gosh.
And refusing a ventilator.
Oh, my gosh.
And his uncle does not live in this state, so
Right.
no one can go there.
Right.
Even if he did, you can't go.
Right.
It's COVID. You can't go into a hospital.
No.
So it's not an uncle that he was particularly close with,
Sure.
but still. Yeah.
It's rough.
So it's around.
Yeah.
And yet people still coming in not wearing a mask.
Yeah, surprising.
Yeah. There was a real good customer who was in at that time and said, "Did you get a lot of like pushback from that?" And I said, "No, it's maybe 1 or 2 people a week, and they all just accept it and eventually come right back in with a mask." I had one time I had people be like, "Well, I'm not going to buy anything then." Okay, great.
Then we're probably not going to get COVID from you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
a fair trade.
Yeah, we said it a million times, but we're more than happy to not have your business if you can't wear a mask.
Absolutely.
We have to wear it all day.
All
You
day.
can wear it for, I don't care if you put it on right before you come in and then take it off as soon as you get outside. If that's what you want to do. But it's not just us, it's the people that we work for and our families and everything else.
Yep.
I heard that Chuck Rosansky in his weekly email keeps mentioning, like, hey, get vaccinated, get
Seriously.
the booster, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Do it.
There's still people that we know who either haven't gotten the booster or have just gotten the booster.
Mm.
And I got mine back in October, and I'm like, man, you guys still haven't gotten it?
Yeah, right.
I feel like that, like some people, I know schedules are tough or whatever, but
Sure.
you should really get on that.
Yeah.
Get boosted.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
No, it feels like that should be sufficient.
Yeah. Hey, this is Patrick jumping in just to tell you that not only do you get to hear me on this podcast this week, but I'm also the guest on Off Panel this week as well. David Harper's Off Panel, which you can find at sketch.com. That's SKTCHD. Just the word sketched with no vowels. .com, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you just look for the Off Panel podcast, which, quite frankly, is one of my favorite podcasts, and you should be listening to it anyway. But that's just it. You get a double dose of me this week in your ear holes, if you so choose. Sick beats in the background of this little message provided by Ariel Free and Mortimer. Dal, what do you think of Amazing Spider-Man #1?
The new Amazing Spider-Man #1 by Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr. I'm
Yeah.
excited for it. I like Zeb Wells' Spider-Man stories a lot, and I have not really been enjoying Amazing Spider-Man Beyond
Correct.
at all.
I am less excited for the JRJR part.
Sure.
I'm not a huge fan of his anymore. I used to be, but
Well, Amazing Spider-Man, he's probably going to be one of 3 artists.
yeah. But also,
It's not like that thing's going to be coming out monthly.
they didn't say.
There's no way that thing's coming out monthly.
They did, but that's the annoying thing. It didn't say anything other than, and I feel bad for your Kelly Thompsons and your Saladin Ahmeds and your Patrick Gleasons and your what have yous,
Cody Ziegler's.
your Cody Zieglers.
You don't feel bad for Cody Ziegler. Yeah, it was inevitable that, what was going to come from Amazing Spider-Man Beyond was just going to be like a creative team, Peter Parker, leading up to issue 900 or whatever they're on.
Yeah.
I have a copy over here of the new issue.
I feel like they deliberately didn't renumber
886 is the current one.
Oh,
so
man.
they're leading up to
14 away.
Yeah, and I mean it's probably like 6 more issues of this, 6 or 7, I think, before
They're halfway
they switch
through
over.
this.
Yeah, so
And
like
they started at 75.
yeah, so it'll be like 895 will be issue 1, and
Yeah.
then they'll be able to do issue 900 just a few months later
I am excited for their anniversary issue of Thor.
with Walt Simonson
Well, because
doing a Beta Ray Billstrom.
yeah, exactly. Because stuff like that. Because you have all these old Thor teams
Yeah, that's very cool.
doing. You've got
JMS Nove Koipel.
and DeFalco and Friends
Yep.
and Jurgens
Yep.
and Jason Aaron.
Yep.
So yeah, like when you do that, when you pull all the different eras back together, I'm in for that kind of anniversary special.
Absolutely.
When it's just an anthology with whomever, it's like
Right.
it means less.
Yeah, when, just someone who's, the team behind Excalibur is doing a Baldur story, it's like, who cares? Like, but yeah, when you get those classic teams, or at least,
Yeah,
the classic writer to
you
come
can't
back.
get Stan and Jack and Larry Lieber.
No.
Fine,
That's
I'll
the
take
limit.
the rest of these.
Yeah. No, it's a really good lineup of folks.
Oh, man, I just lost it. I wish I could have pulled out of my hat the writer who was doing it when Thor moved to Chicago. The writer and artist team at that point. It didn't last. But I was reading. I think that's when I started collecting Thor, was when he moved to Chicago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know that one.
Oh, God. The writer, there's either last name begins with a Z. I can't remember. Anyway, that was a thing.
Okay.
Thor moved to Chicago.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yep. They all do it. Otherwise I don't recall any new announcements. I did talk to my brother a while today and go down our subscription, and basically I took screencasts of everything and just said, what don't you read?
Yes.
And it's a lot.
I'm sure.
And unfortunately it's a lot of things that I had to keep saying, those are good books, man. Like we dumped Flash. We dumped Kate Bishop.
Sure.
We dumped Joker.
Okay.
He doesn't read Robin. I'm like, you gotta read Robin. Robin is good. He doesn't read DC vs. Vampires.
DC vs. Vampires is good.
You gotta read DC vs. Vampires, man.
He's not going to, though.
He doesn't read Son of Kal-El.
Okay.
So we dumped Batgirls. But now it's on me to remember what we're not getting anymore, so I can still keep up on my own. Thing, we dumped Thing. Hawkeye. Try have Magneto with one to go.
Wow.
I mean, does it even matter?
It's over. The series is over. Trial of Magneto's done.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at my shelf with...
Okay.
We both keep all of our books on a spinner rack. The one thing he's like, so what? We're not getting Wonder Girl anymore? Because I already dumped it? I'm like, all right, fine, I'll put it back.
Wow. For the last, issue?
Well, plus the Trial of the Amazons crossover, because Joelle is actually drawing that one as well.
Yep.
So it's good to tighten it up a little bit, but I'm like, oh man, there's too many things you're not reading you should be because they're good.
Yeah.
So I have to take all those off of his account.
Okay.
And did we just go over that just in this recording or not?
What do you mean?
How do you take off a single issue off someone's account? Can you just go in and swipe it away?
Do you mean a subscription or a received item?
Received item.
That you would need to... Okay.
Well, look at that. There's one more Managed Comics question before we're done after all.
Yay.
Just trying to, keep up with the system, man.
I love them so much.
Wait, the questions or Managed Comics as a whole?
Both. I love them both so much, Patrick.
Okay. I feel like you understand the questions
I
are necessary.
I do.
And
I can still wish they weren't.
You can... Ultimately, you love Managed Comics.
Let's not put words in my mouth. So, yeah, what you're going to do is you're just going to, on the customer order screen, just like you're pulling it into a transaction,
okay,
going to bring up that account.
Okay.
You'll see here a little thing that says number of items.
Uh-huh.
Going to click that.
And then it shows you all the items?
And then you can drop anything off that you don't want.
Just with a little trash can?
Yeah.
You can hit that flash?
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, okay. I'll go do it later.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Okay. That's pretty easy.
It's pretty easy.
It's pretty easy.
It's
pretty what we call straightforward.
It is.
I will forget because I didn't actually do it now.
Okay. You know how to get a hold of me.
If you answer my phone. You never answered the phone today when I called. Never.
You called it inopportune times.
Well, I only call when there's an emergency.
That's why I called you back.
I didn't just call it chit chat.
I know.
I don't even leave messages now because what's the point? I mean, you saw that I called.
Yeah.
And you'll call back when you can, and then you can hang up when you know UPS is there.
Yep.
I don't think there were any other things that were announced. It is also, at this point, announcements are just kind of early,
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's shipping in April. So, more confirmation on things like the various Destiny of X books that we sort of knew about, or at least knew the shape of, and now we're getting some more firm details about cast members and creators.
We had 2 subscribers who want to add Dark Knights of Steel, but they only got number 1. Mm-hmm. It's like, we can't get number 2.
No.
Can't get number 2.
I don't remember if they were going back to press on that. I guess not.
I guess not, because nothing came up when I was looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's unfortunate for those people. It's really too bad.
But I mean, that's fairly standard for folks where it's like we press them on issue 1, like, hey, you got to check this book out. And then they read it 3 months later and they're like, cool, can I add that to my list? And it's like, we already didn't have any interest in 2 and 3, or we didn't have the same interest that we did in 1, so we ordered less. And now when you show up 2 months later, no, you can't anymore.
Yeah.
That's how it works. I get that it's difficult for people to keep up on their books, but man, have different expectations of what's going to happen when you catch up with something 3 months later.
I've had more people this week say how much they love the new interface and how they love working on the system and how they think it's a lot better than Pullbox.
Oh, great! I'm glad to hear
That's
that.
always encouraging.
That is.
And people who feel like they're getting the hang of it really quickly.
Yeah, one of the things that's nice is that a lot of the first couple week problems that we were having as far as subscriptions and pulls and stuff are kind of due to the migration process. And as we get further into just using Managed Comics, people are just doing their initial orders and FOC orders and pre-orders and subscription orders through Managed Comics. It becomes a lot more stable. There's a lot less having to look at Comic Suite to be like, why didn't this variant cover come up? You know? So that's nice.
Speaking of variant covers, here's a fun story.
Oh, here's an additional thing that I should mention. Maybe it's going to be the story you're going to tell, but regardless, when orders are coming through to be approved in Managed Comics and it's a variant cover, if you don't know if it's an incentive cover or not and it doesn't say, double check. Because I'm noticing there were a few incentive covers that popped up recently that someone had asked for on FOC, and I'm like, what cover is that? And I look and it's like, oh, it's a 1 in 25 variant. But it didn't say 1 in 25 variant in the title.
Okay.
And oftentimes, I mean, I'm guilty of it too. You just go down the list and it's like, okay, well, these aren't things that have already come out. They're going to FOC this weekend or later. Approve. And then, and then you're going to run into the problem where a month and a half from now, you're not going to get that cover for someone because you didn't qualify for the 1 in 25 variant because it was a book that you didn't order 25 copies of.
I also remember you were asking Brian to work on when FOC dates, so you would know like, oh, I need to. This one is for this FOC, but this one is not for a while. That kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I was just going to mention the World's Finest.
Oh yeah.
So DC's got a new book coming out, World's Finest. It's technically called Batman, Superman, World's Finest. It's written by Mark Waid. It's drawn by Dan Mora. It looks like a lot of fun.
Looks great.
Looks really, really good. There's a ton of covers. Most of them are awful.
Yeah,
just your standard Jim Lee. Here's two heroes. Your Jason Fabok. Here's two heroes standing here.
Yeah, there's the A cover. There's like 3 open order, like Virgin variants. One
of them is a weird Supergirl, Batgirl, like.
So the Archerm one.
Yeah, but it's Stephanie Batgirl.
Oh, okay.
Like, okay, that's a weird thing.
Yeah, sure, all right.
And then, like, the team variant is Cyborg Superman against
Nightfall Batman.
Azrael Batman.
Yeah.
Then there are these 2 really great Chip Zdarsky 1 in 25 covers, which he admitted that he didn't. It wasn't his idea. They came to him and said, "Do it." But it's a classic meme where Robin is saying anything to Batman, and Batman is slapping him, saying, "My parents are dead," and it's just like Batman in his hand, and the back of Robin's head as he's getting slapped. So there's these 2 great Zdarsky covers where it's, hey, there's this new book, Superman, Batman, World's Finest, and it's Superman slapping Batman saying, "It's Superman, Batman, World's Finest," or Batman slapping Superman saying, "It's Batman, Superman, World's Finest."
Right.
Funny, well done, good joke.
They're great. I love them.
Those are 1 in 25 variants.
Yep. Which, when we first seen the covers, we're like, oh my god, we're going to order a ton of those.
So many of those,
because you're just going to sell them as a set. People are going to want them. Now they're 1 in 25 variants. Not going to order that many.
Then there's Doc Shaner 1 in 50 where it's Superman and Batman high-fiving in the sky. It's an image we've seen before by different artists. Fun. And then the 1 in 100 was a Dan Mora, but honest to God, I thought it was J. Scott Campbell.
Hard to tell.
It is Jerry Seinfeld driving the Batmobile, holding a cup of coffee with Superman in the passenger seat, and Batman like climbing on the hood or on the back of the car.
Right.
And it's a riff on comedians in cars getting coffee.
Right.
But also Jerry Seinfeld's a huge Superman fan.
Right.
So that's the 1 in 100 cover.
Yep.
Who cares? Fine. We're not going to qualify for that. DC this week said, hey, retailers, we've heard you. We're going to make some changes. They made the Jerry Seinfeld cover open order.
Yep, and then
that
did a
one.
Like sketch version of the Jerry Seinfeld cover is the new 1 in 100.
It's just it's logoless.
It's logoless?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
all. It's the same. It's just a logoless. It's like No, who did you talk to? That's the wrong one.
That's not the one that I wanted to see.
That is the wrong one.
Of the 3 incentive covers, that was the one I was the least interested in stocking a whole bunch of.
We would have ordered a lot of the... And the thing with the Zdarsky covers is I feel people would have bought both.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't just want one.
No.
Yeah, they completely dropped the ball on that one.
Not great. I mean, the book itself is still good, and we'll order a bunch.
Yeah, of course.
But it would have been one of those things where I thought it was an actual fun variant that we could have sold a bunch of, and now it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we will definitely not have any of the open order Jerry Seinfelds for the shelf.
I don't know about that.
No, I'm telling you.
Okay.
And all the other covers are dull too. There's too many covers.
Yeah, I don't know that a lot of the normal open order superhero covers I would have done, but the Seinfeld cover, I don't know. I think there'd be some interest. Not a ton, not to the level of the Zdarsky variants, but I'd probably order a few.
Well, good news. I'm letting you do DC FOCs.
Thanks.
Do you? I didn't make it yet, but do you want my crib notes every week or not?
No.
Okay.
Thanks, though. I mean, at this point, I'm just waiting for Managed Comics and Shopify to understand inventory levels.
Sure. So you're okay starting it tomorrow?
Sure.
Or starting with this week's?
Sure.
I was gonna.
Yeah,
I wrote up.
It's gonna be just like the PRH and Diamond ones, where we're just looking at subscriber numbers.
I wrote up the sheet, but I didn't do the numbers. Mm-hmm. And there's 3 or 4, I think 3 books, not counting Detective, where the newest issue is on sale next week.
Great.
So we're getting back to that old chestnut.
Terrific. Well, we can't get our inventory reported correctly from Shopify right now, so it's irrelevant.
Yeah. But I mean, are you going to, and the reason, and I think we mentioned this before, mm-hmm. the reason I'm passing the DC FOCs back mm-hmm. is because that's the one category mm-hmm. where that's been entirely me from initial orders to FOCs, and I think it's a can't think of the word, something with a D. Anyway,
detrimental.
Thanks. That's the exact word I wanted. It's a detriment to the system because it's the checks and balances of the 2 or 3 of us doing it. But it's been too much just me doing DCs, mm-hmm. and I want the second pair of eyes. I don't care if it's Molly Jane. I don't care if it's you. Sure. But I think it's beneficial. But that being said, if you'd rather I keep doing them, I have no problem doing it.
No, I'll take over. It's fine.
I just don't want to add one more thing. Like if you could give it to Molly Jane to do, but you can't. They do Sunday.
Yeah, well, I mean, because there's no data, they go pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's seriously just going to be looking at subscriber numbers and then looking at issue ones and being like yes or no, or what do we think we're getting stuck with?
It's a small list this week.
Yeah, it's fine.
It really is.
Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow.
All right. Well, then here's the baton. I'm passing a metaphoric baton.
Thanks.
And he took it.
I did.
And it's all yours.
Thanks
for listening. Keep
reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.